please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's take a moment of silence. Thank you. Now, I'm going to roll call for the December 27th meeting, beginning with Commissioner Doug Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Stephen. Here. Commissioner Jeff Culberson.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Smith.
Here.
And Vicki Cousin. I am here as well, so we're all present and accounted for. There is no public, anybody has signed up for public comment, so we'll move on to administrative business. Mr. Lothry, do you have anything today?
Commissioners, over the weekend I shared with you another emergency purchase. The water heater at Cushing, one of the water heaters, we have multiple, but one of them went out, one of the big industrial size ones, so we had to do an emergency replacement. It was on the end where we have a tenant who's 24/7, so Aaron and his crew got on it, got a couple of bids, and got the contractor out there, and were able to get it back up and running in less than 24 hours. But it did exceed normal purchasing. I think it was just a little over $17,000. So I just want to give you a heads up on that, like I did via email. It was paid for out of the building reserve over there, so it's not necessarily unbudgeted, but it was unexpected.
Thank you. Anybody have anything that they want to bring?
I just was going to bring up, bring this up with Mark, but when we review the budget for the year, and when we had made adjustments, the increase in spending was like 15.8%, and then when we made all the changes, we got it down to 7.85. I believe I
think that's correct.
And we took most of that reduction came from Public Works. Most of the now that doesn't we increased the spending on the road, so don't get that wrong. But where we made the adjustments in the budget was in the Public Works side. So when we're talking about like getting a windfall last week coming in to the general fund of the county, I think we seriously need to look at that $470,000?
It's closer to 480.
I think we seriously need to look at where we took the reductions, and if we're going to make adjustments, I think we seriously need to look at Public Works, because we did fully fund the other departments.
I'm glad you opened the door. I'll walk through it now. We got to figure out some way for local service to be self-supporting and to have money for these roads and bridges. And I brought that up a couple weeks ago about, are we a county unit? Are we a county rural unit? It makes a big difference whether that's how the taxes are collected. And road or local service has never supported itself, and we just can't keep going backwards.
And I think we did when we were talking about that before, possibly eliminating that local service part of the budget, since we're one of only, two or three counties. So anyway, when we get to that work session down the road, I think there's some big things to talk about.
We may not have to if we were classified as a county unit road system. I don't think we can collect the local service anyways. But if we're a county rural system, it had to be whatever they did in 1973, how it came about. So I was always under the impression for years that we're a county unit. But I don't think you can collect a local service tax if you're a county unit. You have to be a county rural unit.
So those are work session things to...
Yeah,
things
they
we
are.
probably need to discuss.
But we need to do it before we tackle the 2025 budget. Because
Right.
we have never, ever addressed that issue.
Commissioners, I think the last at least 3 years, I have brought up that the local service road fund does not adequately fund itself. It's subsidized by the road and bridge. And the last 2 years, we have adjusted it slightly. It's nowhere near where it would need to be self-sufficient, but definitely something that's budgetary. And I would just like to point out, we never have a windfall. There's no such thing as a windfall. We have funds that we weren't expecting, maybe, but when we have budgets that were not fully funded, we do not have a windfall.
And I agree with that, but I think Public Works is where the money needs to go.
Well, I think that's a conversation that we can definitely have, but if you'll recall, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because we just had these last 2 emergency purchases, but the buildings and grounds for Cushing specifically, we cut quite a bit out of because, again, trying to get the budget down to where the commission was comfortable with it, but going into our reserves for a building like that, we cut a significant amount from there as well, and there were other budgets that took a little bit of a hit too. And Public Works obviously took a hit from what they requested, but
Right.
they still had an increase, like you pointed out. Whereas with Cushing and some of the other things going on, I think the money could be spent, I guess is my point, versus being labeled as a windfall.
Yeah, and I think
there are items out there that could.
The last time the county had a mill levy increase was a year before I got here, and it's because of the Justice Center roof. There was no money set aside or on an amortization schedule, depreciation, whatever you want to call it. There was no money set aside when that Justice Center was built for the roof. And that's when they had to increase it $500,000. And that should have been only a 1-year deal, and $500,000 should have came off, and all they could get was a $250,000 reduction the next year. So,
do we know what the carryover balances for the full year are at this point, or are we still waiting?
Well, we'll have them by the end of the week, But,
Yeah.
We haven't closed out the year yet, so.
Yeah.
Anything else? If not, I will entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'd like to have the check registry removed from the consent agenda.
Okay.
Motion with
Yep.
the check
Yep.
register removed.
Removed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Doug Smith.
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now we need to entertain a motion for the check registry approval. Motion?
I'll move.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Doug Smith.
Abstain.
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
So motion carries 3-2 with 2 abstentions. Okay. Now we're going to move on to formal board action. We need to consider a motion to appoint Commissioner Vicki Cos to the NECAP Board of Directors for the year 2024, unless there is someone who else would be interested.
So moved.
No,
I'll make a motion to appoint Commissioner Vicki Cos to the NECAP Board of Directors for the year 2024.
Second.
motion and a second. Begin
I'll just
voting.
make a comment
Yeah,
on
let's
that.
have some
I
comments.
did serve when I lived in Harvey County when I was a lot younger. I did serve on the Community Action Program Board
Good.
for a while.
So you will be prepared next year to, no, because I will be
I
gone.
did enjoy it.
You will
I
be
enjoyed it.
Maybe prepared to step into that role because it is a really good program and, or I know.
So Mr. Culberson, he looks like he's very interested.
I'm just saying, it's a good
It
board and
is.
there's a lot
Yeah,
of
it
good
is.
things that are done by NECAP and
Yep.
to be involved with it, I think is, and
You're absolutely right.
just,
Yeah.
You're really good at it.
well,
So,
this
So-
is my final
I-
Let's do a roll
thing on
call.
that one because it needs to be done by one of the commissioners. So roll call beginning with Commissioner Doug Smith.
Aye.
Absolutely.
Abstain. Okay, motion carries.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
Sure.
Vicki.
Now we need to consider a motion to approve the budget amendments for the courthouse general fund as presented by the county clerk. Welcome, Janet.
This year, we did have to amend the budget in the county general, or in the county funds for employee benefits and 911 tax. When we budgeted for employee benefits, the monthly expenses were right at around $680,000 a month, which if we would have held at that, it would have been sufficient in the budget. But the benefits went up, a lot in part to our workman's comp. That about doubled. And when you add that big of an expense, workman's comp quarterly now is, or not quarterly, a half a year is well over $400,000. And so when you look at that, it takes a big hit to the employee benefit fund.
I got a question, if I could, Madam Chair. Mark, is the reason that went up is because that's the nature of the game going on now, or is it because we took a lot of hits?
A bit of both. Actually, it kind of is a compounding thing. One, our experience modification went up because we had a lot of claims. Two, when that happens, then they kick us out of the program where we get the discount. So
right.
Then, not only did our premium go up, but then we used to get a discount because we had good experience. Now we don't, so we lose the discount. So that happens. And then, of course, just the regular increase in the cost of doing business. So it's a kind of a compounding thing. But
okay.
It was unexpected. We are looking at other options, but for work comp, there's just not a lot of options for municipal government our size.
And we are shoring up our safety program to try to address or to do some more education and.
We hit all of the check marks as far as we completed all the things we needed to complete. But when you have your experience is at the level where ours was, they don't give you credit for that, so we just lost our discount. Okay. Hopefully we can get that back, but for the time being, we are where we're at.
Yeah, that's a good, because when I was in Lansing, I was on that committee for about 20 years, and you're exactly what you're saying is correct, but beefing up the things to prevent accidents, or having the same person, if that same person is having the same type of accidents, then we may have to take it another level to emphasize that this is important to everybody. Because that when we start doing that, and you come in here and tell us that we took a hit like that, it's got to be paid for from somewhere. So you're only hurting yourself when you do it.
Yep.
But things happen. I get that. I know.
But it's also based on salaries too, isn't it? On your rate.
Yeah, it's part of your wages. That's why I say the cost of doing business, the cost of the coverage, it all just compounds.
Right.
But there's always benefits to increasing the things that we do to improve health and safety and welfare, all of those things. I mean, there are benefits to doing that, both financially and for the employees as a general rule. So,
Mark, are some of our things, and I probably know the answer, some of the things that you're doing and the staff is doing, are these mandatory when you have these training episodes?
Yeah, absolutely. We
Okay.
have mandatory trainings throughout the year. I think probably Public Works does the most of them because of just the nature of the work. But yeah, we have mandatory trainings throughout the year.
So you haven't been attending them, Mike?
No, I haven't been attending these.
The
I've been 20-something years old. I had enough
a lot of
of that.
stretching. Are there a limited number of carriers, or how many carriers in Kansas are there?
So there's as far as municipal, there are, I think we have 3 different options that are out there. One of them is probably too small to be considered an option for us. The one we're in, and then there's one other one. But they don't want to write our work comp unless we also give them our business and property, which is a struggle. They don't separate them out. Yeah. So, and then we could go private side, but I've had that quoted, and it's not competitive with the municipal pools that we can get in.
Yeah, you're right.
So we're looking at it. And it wasn't just because of the increase this year. I've actually been looking for a couple of years, and we just can't find a rate that is competitive with the one we're getting. Now that we've had this increase, we probably can, but it's hard to get quoted from these other groups. One, because we're too big for one of them, and the other one, they don't want to split it. They want our property casually with that.
Okay.
So I'll just need a motion then to approve the budget amendment for the county funds.
Courthouse general funds.
Yep.
I move that we approve budget amendments to the courthouse general fund.
Second.
Motion is second. Begin voting with Commissioner Doug Smith.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, now we need to consider a motion to approve the budget amendments for the special other funds as presented by the county clerk.
This one, we are amending sewer district number 2. This was actually a fault when the budget was put together. The special assessment was not included on the budget. So this is not due to a tax increase. This is the special assessment that is assessed to the folks that live in sewer district number 2.
I move that we approve budget amendments for special other funds.
Second.
District 2.
Second.
Motion is second. Begin voting with Doug Smith.
Aye.
Mike Stevens.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, now we need to consider a motion to approve Board Order 2023-6, transferring funds from the Courthouse General Fund to the Employee Benefit Fund.
We would like to transfer $1 million into the Employee Benefit Fund. They're not short that much cash, but we have a couple of payrolls that will come out of that fund before we receive our first distribution on January 20th. So that drew the necessity for this board order.
Everybody understand that?
I do.
Yep.
I'll entertain
I move we approve Board Order 2023-6, transferring funds from the courthouse general to employee benefits.
Second.
Motion is second. Begin voting with, any further discussion first, I guess?
No, not me.
Begin with Doug Smith.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yep.
Becky has the budget amendments to be signed and also the board order to be signed. She has copies of those that can be signed after the meeting.
Thank you.
Budget amendments, there's not really a necessity to get them all signed today, but I would like the board order signed. So we
Well,
can
we're
get
all
that
here,
done
so-
by the first of the year.
We'll get it done. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Happy
guys.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay. Now we need to consider a motion that the proposed final plat as outlined in case DEV 2023-120 Highland Meadows be approved with the conditions that the plat is compliant with county zoning and subdivision regulations as set forth in the staff report, as adopted by Planning Commission, and as substantiated by the facts, testimony, and evidence presented, be accepted by the board, and that the condition be set forth in the staff report be made part of this approval. That was a long one.
Take a breath
We need an
now.
explanation, I guess. Go ahead.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
Before you, the final plat for Highland Meadows. This plat is a multi-lot plat. I believe it was 35 lots. And it is before you today as part of the regular agenda because an exception was approved during the preliminary plat process. From the block length requirement of the zoning and subdivision regulations. Otherwise, this plat is compliant with the zoning and subdivision regulations. It was reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission at their last meeting, so it is before you guys today to consider adoption of it. And as you already stated, that is the proposed motion we have for you guys verbatim. So,
I have a question.
Questions, go ahead.
We were discussing this before the meeting, but where's the city limits of Tonganoxie?
the city limits of Tonganoxie would be quite a ways to the southeast of this property. I think it's more than a mile away.
Okay, and that's what I was, when
Be at the fair.
you cited the rural growth boundary, what is the rural growth boundary at?
Sure. So we have two growth areas within the county. We have the urban growth boundaries and then the rural growth boundary. An urban growth boundary is the area within 660 feet of a city limit line. So since this is outside of that 660 feet, it is considered in the rural growth area.
Okay. All right, that's all the questions I have. I guess, you want a motion?
Sure.
I move that the proposed final plat as outlined in case DEV 23-120 Highland Meadows be approved with conditions, and that the plat is compliant with the county zoning and subdivision regulations as set forth in the staff report as adopted by the Planning Commission and as substantiated by the facts, testimony, and evidence presented and be accepted by the board, and that the conditions set forth in the staff report be made part of this approval.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any other questions? Okay. Begin voting with Doug Smith.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. All right. Now we need to consider a motion that the proposed final plat as outlined in case number DEV 23-145 Garden Villa be approved with the conditions that the plat is compliant with the county zoning and subdivision regulations as set forth in the staff report is adopted by the Planning Commission and as substantiated by the facts, testimony, and evidence presented and be accepted by this board, and that the conditions set forth in the staff report be made part of this approval.
Before you is another final plat for Garden Villas. Again, this one is on the regular agenda because they received 3 exceptions as part of the preliminary plat phase. Not received, they were approved for 3 exceptions. Those 3 exceptions include an exception to road connectivity, block length, and adequate public utilities. The final plat was prepared in accordance with the zoning and subdivision regulations, so with those exceptions, it does meet our regulations. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Yours also, Mike.
Was there a significant amount of discussion on those exceptions at the Planning Commission? I've watched a lot of those meetings, but I don't think I hit that one.
There was a considerable amount of discussion at the preliminary plat stage. Most of those items were addressed at the preliminary stage. When we got to the final, not a lot of discussion on the final plat. That was taken care of in the previous phase.
I feel like we should have a speech, Mr. Herring, but maybe not.
Well, I've been out there looking at this since 2019. This was when it started in 2019. I went out there and looked at different things, and on the connectivity thing, there's never going to be any roads connect that. So this fits the perfect plat for an exception.
Well, he got it through. I think I agree with you. Consider motion to that the proposed final plat as outlined in case number DEV 23-145 Garden Villa be approved with conditions, and that the plat is compliant with the county zoning and subdivision regulations as set forth in the staff report as adopted by the Planning Commission and as substantiated by the facts, testimony, and evidence presented be accepted by the board, and that the conditions set forth in the staff report be made part of this approval. And just a comment, I think it's been a long time coming, and I'm glad everybody had patience.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Where'd the patience come from?
I don't know, it just took a long time.
Okay, begin voting with Doug Smith.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Well, I've lived long enough to see that.
Thanks, gang.
I know. When is the construction supposed to start?
Okay, let's do Entertain a motion for executive session, unless there's, I don't think we have any other public comment requests that I saw,
Don't
so.
see.
Madam Chair, I move that the board recess for a closed executive meeting for the discussion of potential litigation involving the legal interest of the county as justified by KSA 75-4319B2 for consultation with legal counsel for the board, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and that the board resume open meeting at 10:15 in the meeting room of the board. Present in the executive meeting will be Commissioner Culverson Cause, Mike Smith, Doug Smith, Mike Stevens, Senior County Counselor Dave Van Perrys, and County Administrator Mark Lockery, and others that may be called by the board.
Second.
Motion is second. Begin voting with Doug Smith.
Aye.
Aye.
Did you mean 10:15? Is that
I
right?
said 10:15.
Okay. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Aye.
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 You comfortable?
We're in.
Let the record show the board has returned to regular session at 10:15. No action was taken. No decisions were made. The subject was limited to the legal interest of the county.
Okay.
And I believe that we have several items that we would like to have placed.
Commissioners, Ms. Brown's working on a motion for one matter, but I would ask that you, on next week's agenda, you place the following item: review of recent claimed annexation by the city of Tonganoxie.
Okay, so we would like to have that placed on next week's agenda. Mr. Lothry, please.
Consensus.
And we'll wait on Misty, and we can, go ahead, David.
Well, we'll wait on.
We can have,
So, and can you be sure that you contact Tonganoxie officials and see that they're at least notified?
You can let
we'd
their
like to-
attorney know. That's
Yeah,
what they've asked.
that'd be
to
good.
communicate
Yeah.
through, so we
Yep.
will
Let their attorney know then.
We can do that, Commissioner.
and as long as we're waiting on Misty, I guess we can go ahead and do our presentations and have discussion of what's happened this past week, or
Don't have
Christmas
anything.
happened.
Christmas happened. Ho, ho, ho. Wasn't it fun? It was a great Christmas. Well, I actually had a meeting last Wednesday afternoon that took all afternoon, so that was for the Transit Authority. So then we have,
You read this.
go ahead. And then if
Okay, Madam Chair, I could add, I move to add consideration of relocation agreement with Water District 9 to next week's agenda, subject to the Water District submission of a complete agreement, including all exhibits.
do I have a second?
Second.
Begin voting with Commissioner Doug Smith.
Abstain.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to add consideration of the proposed annexation by the city of Tonganoxie to next week's agenda, just so that we have a formal
Second.
item there. Okay, begin voting with.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. So, as I said, I had the Transit Authority meeting last week, so to end my week,
Busy lady.
busy week, but you have anything, Commissioner Culverson?
Not so much as last week, but I was going to talk about, I was asked to come and testify January 11th in Topeka for the LAVTR issue, and on January 17th on the disabled veterans issue. So on the 17th, that's a Wednesday. So to make that, I think it's at 9:30 in the morning, so I'm going to have to
You
be,
need to be there.
I think that's more
Absolutely, you
important
need to
than
be, yes.
that's what I was going
absolutely.
to ask.
And if
Sorry
you-
if I'm
If you would
missing
like to, we can have 3 commissioners here, so if you would like to attend as well,
And
Commissioner Smith.
when do we appoint the chair for the next year?
That would be that.
It's that meeting, isn't
I
it?
believe.
Oh, great.
Oh, good. I can see
I
how
already
this
know
is
it.
gonna end.
I already know how this is going to go.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, let's, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be other opportunities in the session.
Yeah, that's just the first two.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
that's fine.
And I'm planning to go on the 11th.
So you won't be here that day?
That's a Thursday.
That's a
Thursday,
Thursday.
yeah. That's the
Oh,
one, that's the
okay, all
LAVTR.
right.
But the 17th is a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, the other one would be good to attend, too.
Well, we have to.
You're going to cheat me out of my local ad valorem, even though I'm the one that helped champion it, huh? Okay.
Well, you can come too.
No, we need.
Let's have our meeting there.
Oh, you can go if you want, Vicki.
No, I'm
Okay.
going to let you do it. I'm
You've
just
been
saying.
leading this.
You know, we
Those
can
guys
advance
are-
our day if we wished.
Oh, that's
Then we
okay.
have 3.
No, I'm not
Since
gonna-
it's not a since it's not a meeting date here, technically it is an open meeting. So 3 of you could attend.
On the 11th.
Only one will be speaking.
We'll just leave it. We don't want anybody to make those types of.
Get a little closer.
Okay. All righty. Well, if we don't have anything else that anybody
didn't have
cares to
anything.
share, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn for the Happy New Year.
I do have one thing to
Okay.
put on the record. On the 11th, I'm going to be speaking at the Linwood Library. So everybody, all the hundreds of people that are watching, come on down to the Linwood Library.
In the evening?
Yep.
7?
Yep.
6? What time?
6:30.
6:30.
And there might be food. I'm not sure about that.
That's always a game changer.
There is
Mike.
maybe a bigger audience.
That's a game changer.
Well, let's wish. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. I know I had a
Okay,
motion.
and then we just Happy New Year to everyone. Be safe and enjoy the rest of your week. Okay, we'll
Call the
begin.
roll.
Aye.
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 I didn't know.
We are
Let's give
adjourned.
Susie